welcome everybody in to the Real Talk Ravens podcast. This is the Colts recap edition from week 3. As you can see, we don't have Michael Kruger with us, but instead we got to fill in here one of our North Carolina Raven fans connections, the Palmer Grigsby. We talk about him a lot.
There we go. Yeah, you don't have the crazy Jew with the hair. You got the red bearded guy on this podcast. You got the crazy Jew coming at you.
Yes, sir. So obviously it's a little bit of a somber episode after losing a game we definitely didn't have any business losing.
Not at all.
But Palmer was actually at the game, so he can give us a little bit of firsthand insight on what he saw.
Yeah, so a bit of a background. I've been a Ravens fan since the year 2000. I was 9 years old. My first time playing like Pee Wee football. I was a linebacker. Who else do you want to be like in the year 2000 if you're playing defense but Ray Lewis? So I've been a Ravens fan since then. And so I waited 23 years to come to yesterday's game. And I don't know if I have any business going back to a Ravens game. I think I may have jinxed it. It rained, it poured, I got soaking wet, and we lost in overtime. So I think I'm done. I don't think I can do it anymore. I'm out. One and done.
One game.
But I'll tell you what, the experience, M&T Bank Stadium is really awesome. I highly suggest every Ravens fan go to at least one game at the bank. The stadium was really nice. All the food was awesome. The drinks were great. The atmosphere, even though it poured down and was really nasty, the atmosphere was awesome. But yeah, and it was pretty crazy to be there for the weird ups and downs and lulls, and it was weird. And
it was a weird game.
Yeah, it was a weird game, and like I kept in touch with Tyler, you and Michael, obviously, and I had great seats. I was right behind the Ravens bench because I thought my first game in 23 years, I'm sitting as close to Lamar Jackson and company as possible. And so I was like one row up from behind the bench, which was pretty cool because you get to see a lot of how the players interact with each other. You get to see like the coaching staff, and kind of like I was telling you yesterday and earlier today, you get to see how massive these dudes are and how much you can appreciate like what they do week in and week out. Like being an offensive or defensive lineman, those guys deserve offensive linemen get paid pretty handily, but like to get battered by each other like they do week in and week out. Like DeForest Buckner is a massive dude. Ben Cleveland, giant. Daniel Falele, giant. Morgan Moses, giant. Like you cannot stress how big these dudes are. Like they're not your average. Like they are huge. Like see them up close and personal is unreal. They're monsters. And to get hit by them or grabbed by them, no thanks. I'll stick to flag football or I'll stick to being on the couch.
Yeah, TV does not do it justice how big they are, really. I mean,
all of them are big, dude. All of them. Even Geno Stone is just like a stout dude. Clowney's a monster. He's so tall. Just seeing all the guys up close, man, they're huge. They're huge dudes. So anyone that thinks they could go in there and do something, I don't know.
Couch Warriors.
Yeah, the Couch Warriors, believe me, man, you got to go to games these dudes. You couldn't do squat against them. I always make a joke. I could get 3 yards. I don't think I could get 3 yards. I don't think I can get 3 yards at all.
Yeah. I mean, just diving into the game real quick.
Yeah.
The defense really for the Colts proved what my fears were before the game, which was that defensive line was going to take advantage of our backups being in on the offensive line. And it was kind of hard to run the ball, honestly. And I feel like in the rain, that's something you have to be able to do.
Most certainly. What's they are who we thought they were, and we let, that whole thing, like they exactly Buckner, Kwity Paye, like these are high pick defensive linemen that the Colts invested in, and it's paid off. Like you're not really going to run the ball on them easily. And you got Leonard out there who's running around, who's a great, arguably a top 5, top 10 linebacker, So, yeah, their front seven's no joke. And it proved that yesterday. I knew when it was, obviously pouring down rain, it was like, we got to run the ball. We didn't have Justice Hill, obviously you're not going to have JK. And so you rely on Gus, Melvin Gordon, and then you rely on Kenyon Drake, who I think may have played himself back on the practice squad.
If he's allowed to.
If he's allowed to. I don't, I saw, speaking of seeing people up close, I saw Keaton Mitchell out there walking around. And after the game, I was just thinking, like, what could he have possibly brought to the table yesterday that could have given us an advantage? Because once Gus went down, I'll tell you, when Gus went down, the whole stadium, on at least around me in my section, just kind of like fell flat because they were like, this is a game where you need Gus to show up. And this is when you need the hard yards, you want Gus. You don't want Melvin Gordon, who did good. I mean, Melvin Gordon played a good game yesterday. I mean, can't take that away from him. Kenyon Drake played well until, played well, but the fumble, which was killed it. Well, that turned everything around. I mean, after that first drive, I thought, my gosh, like, we're going to mop them up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to mop them up. And everyone around me was, we're drinking our beers and having a good old time. And then Kenyon Drake fell and the whole world just.
Yeah, it took us like half the game to get over that. One of the bigger takeaways that I didn't think about was their defense coordinator being Gus Bradley, coming from that Seattle scheme where they're basically going to make you work for everything that you get. And there really were no big plays offensively for us.
No.
And I think, like you said, not having that Justice Hill or the J.K. Dobbin factor in the backfield that can bust a big run, because Gus Edwards, as good as he is, he's not known for getting the big, long runs because he doesn't have that breakaway speed. But we didn't really have a running back with the breakaway speed. I mean, Kenyon Drake did have the one breakaway and then he fumbled. So I think that definitely was the turning point of the game. And the sad part was that it happened pretty early on.
And I think not having Justice, that's why we relied on Lamar a lot yesterday. We relied on Lamar's legs, and he was our 2 touchdowns. Him running the ball was our 2 touchdowns. And
there was a stat that they came out with that said basically, I think anytime Lamar Jackson completed 75% of his passes and ran for over 100 yards, we've lost. You would think that looking at that.
The Miami Dolphins game. And then, this one yesterday.
He didn't throw any interceptions. He did fumble once himself.
Yep. He fumbled twice.
Yeah, one that we lost.
Yep.
And
when is that conversation? Of course, yesterday, do you give as someone that was there, yesterday was awful. It poured down Saturday in Baltimore. So you already had that. And then it poured down that morning. And then broke up for a little bit. And then, it started to rain pretty much at 12 o'clock. And I could tell when they were, throwing the ball around pregame, I was like, we're not going to take the top off today. Like, we're not throwing any bombs. It's going to be 5-yard, 8-yard passes. I knew because it was so wet. And then you saw it after the Kenyon Drake fumbled the ball. What did we do? 3 straight in and fumble. He fumbled. Then Lamar fumbled. Then we had the missed snap with Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar jumped on it. And what did you tell me yesterday in the second half or the second quarter, we had negative 12 yards?
Yes. In the second quarter, just the second quarter, it was negative 12 offensive yards.
And like we were saying earlier, I've seen people blame Harbaugh for the, how he mishandled the end of the game. Todd Monken looked like Greg Roman. For one, you're not going to pass. Like we said, you're not going to pass the ball in that kind of rain. You're just not, because ball slipped through the receiver's hands and it could very well be picked off.
Mm-hmm.
Run. And secondly, yesterday's offense had nothing to do with Harbaugh being poor, down the end of the game. Had nothing to do with Zay Flowers. Well, Zay Flowers had that little hiccup of doing the fair catch, but that was called to him. And it had nothing to do with Todd Monken. It's just offensive execution. We couldn't do anything. Lamar could not do anything. Our backs couldn't really do anything. Our receivers, it was just a sloppy game. It was such a sloppy game to watch. It was very befuddling.
Yeah, I think although we didn't really, I agree. I don't think John Harbaugh himself made any dumb coaching decisions. There was definitely a lot of miscommunications all throughout, either whether it was through the players or from the coaches to the players. One of them being the fair catch. But just a few of them I saw throughout the game that, had me thinking like we need to clean some things up. But the good thing is it's early in the season. Those are the types of things that we can learn from. I did see this going around that in week 3 last year, the Colts beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and we all know where that ended up for them. So hopefully, hopefully we can, keep that stat going.
Well, now that Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift, you think like Mark Andrews is going to start dating like Megan Thee Stallion or someone like that? Or
Maybe
Lamar's
next year after we win.
Maybe Lamar dates a Kardashian or something.
Yeah. But one question that I wanted to bring up that I talked to you about a little bit. Do we think Justin Tucker is not in his prime anymore?
Man, talk about like the ultimate hard pill to swallow, if that is the case. What I don't know off the top of my head, but the miss last week, how far was that?
I think it was around a 50 something yarder.
Was it 60?
This week was 61. Last week I think was shorter at like in the 50s.
Okay.
Let's see. Right now he's 1 for 1 from 30 to 39, 2 for 2 from 40 to 49, and then he's 1 for 3 from 50 plus. So at 50 plus, he's starting to lose his accuracy, I feel like.
I did not. So yesterday obviously I saw the kick, but I didn't see, I don't have the benefit of like instant replay or, I didn't see where he kicked the ball. Did he not hit the ball well?
So usually when you're,
it was like,
it looked like it was going in, but usually when you're kicking that far of a field goal, you usually can't put as much air under it because you kind of just have to push it, but you still have to get it over the line, obviously, so it doesn't get blocked. It looked like he hit it just a little high because it did float in the air pretty long. I'm not really sure. They did say, through the broadcast how when it's wet outside on a grass field, the footing is really important for kickers. So I'm not sure if maybe he didn't get his proper footing, but he is 34 years old now. So,
but you got to think, man, a lot of other kickers have kicked for like Vinatieri kicked for a hell of a long time.
This is his 11th season.
How long let's see. I'm not going to have you be the complete, stat guy the whole time, but let's see. Adam Vinatieri. How long did let's see. He kicked, he's 50 years old now. Let's see. He was undrafted in 96. So he went from 96 to 2019.
So he went for 23. So we should have another 10 seasons plus around there for Tucker based on that number if he keeps his body up to shape.
Yeah. So, and Justin Tucker himself has been like, I'm going to kick until you have to drag me off the field. Then you have to look at the Colts kicker yesterday, man. He put on a class.
He freaking all of his field goals were 50 plus. I just think it's something that we need to keep our eye on throughout this season because
it's upsetting because I thought I was going to see like, I'm at a Ravens game. I'm going to see Justin Tucker make the game-winning field goal in overtime. That's what I thought I was going to see. And then when it fell short, it was just like.
So just looking back last year, he only made 86% of his field goals, which is throughout his span of his career is below average. He's usually above 90%.
I feel like we're taking longer field goals. I think longer field goals with an aging kicker, I don't think those two metrics bode well.
Yeah.
If we were giving him a bunch of putt shots at 30 and 40 yards.
He hasn't missed a field goal less than 40 yards since 2020.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
I don't know.
My thought on that is if you got Justin Tucker and you've got our offense, you should always get 3 points.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, especially when, like at the end of the game, we got the ball to midfield.
Devin Duvernay, that place was rocking when Devin Duvernay took that shit back.
Yeah.
That's ball game, guys. Like, that is ball game. It's
crazy.
There were so many moments. My heart yesterday, dude, I was or just I was happy, then I was sad. I was happy, then I was sad. I was elated, and then I was sad. I mean, it was just like you were on this roller coaster the whole game, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a tough game to watch as a fan. But offensively, let's just dive into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Lamar, I thought, played pretty well. I don't think I mean, obviously he had the fumble that we talked about. He needs to really, I think in practice, they need to constantly be going after him with the ball with some little equipment guy just slapping the ball out of his hands or something, because whatever we're doing right now, he's not getting enough attention on that.
No.
It's the first 3 games, he's probably fumbled 5 times. I don't know, but
Probably
around there.
At least. No, you're not. That's a probably good guess.
And it's been a problem throughout his career. It's not just this year. So I don't see how.
I'm a Louisville guy.
Yeah.
I grew up in Kentucky. I'm a U of L Cardinal. And this is not new to Lamar. This is not new. This has been a career thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. But throughout the day, I just felt like our offense was just inconsistent. Like we would, even after we had the Kenyon Drake fumble, we would move the ball and then we just stand still at midfield. We couldn't move the ball past midfield. We would get the ball all the way to midfield. Usually when you get the ball to midfield, it's like easy. We're getting into field goal range. I've never seen us struggle that hard to get the ball past midfield. And I think a lot of that has to credit toward the Colts defense and Gus Bradley and them not allowing us to get those chunk plays, because I think in the middle of the field, that's usually when we try to take our shots. We usually get a shot or two throughout the game from that field position. And yesterday we just didn't get it. And I don't know if it was more of a product of the weather or if it was just a product of their defense, but I think the combination of both made that happen. But we just didn't get it done. We have to be more creative, I think, offensively. I think we were a little bit of vanilla. And through the first 2 weeks, I felt like Monken did a good job of not doing that. I felt like he was doing a lot of motions, trying to disguise things and confuse the defense. Yesterday, it just felt like we lined up and we snapped the ball and that was it.
Yeah. And, like I said, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say it was completely weather dependent. Like it was the rain. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to, because there's no reason that you have 2 really good offensive performances. Like we didn't take a deep shot yesterday. And we would have done that with or without OBJ. You know what I'm saying? Like Aguilar was pretty much a non-factor yesterday. Zay was he got his touches, but, nothing, didn't take the top off. And Bateman had the 1 catch. And of course, his hamstring got tightened up and he couldn't really go. So it was just I don't know, but you're right. We have to, weather aside, we got to push the ball. We got to try.
Yeah. Like you said, with Bateman,
love.
Yeah. With Bateman and with Beckham being out, I felt like this was Bateman's day to shine. I felt like he was going to be the number 1 targeted receiver, maybe, number 2, but no, he had 3 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. I mean, I was just very shocked to see that. It did feel like almost all of Lamar's throws went to the middle of the field, though. He did not throw it really outside the hashes much. So that's probably why Zay Flowers got most of the targets and Mark Andrews did too. But we just offensively, it just came down to we did not execute in the key moments in the game. When it became, all right, let's finish this game off, let's put them away, we didn't do it.
Never. No, we let them off the hook. Kind of going back, and we let them off the hook. We let them off the hook every single time. Either we fumbled it, or we couldn't muster up a play. Lamar taking that sack.
We had the likely drop, Lamar sack.
Yep. And then just not getting any yards when we needed to run.
We couldn't catch a break with the referees with the pass interference at the end of the game.
And the
face mask.
Face mask, I would almost argue that block in the back that Nelson Aguilar had was about as ticky-tack of a call as you could possibly make it. And how you'd call that and don't call that face mask.
His helmet got ripped around.
Unbelievable. Like I ran in the stadium, went nuts. Like, because they saw the flag and they're like, oh yeah. Like we all lost our minds because I was like, this is ball game. This is going to be a huge. They're like, block in the back, number 15. And we're like, what? What? Dude's jaw got pulled back to the side. Like, and then I know you don't want to, as a referee, you probably don't want to make a call that changes the game or gives someone a win or a loss, I guess, in that fact. But that was the most blatant PI, dude. I
They
mean, of
were
course, I'm
scared.
preaching the choir, but like, how do you like? If it's a ticky tack or something like that, I get it. It's like, oh, they're playing hard, they're back and forth. But that was like, he was clearly hit like several seconds before.
Yeah.
I mean, unreal. Stadium went crazy at that one. Oh my gosh. That was probably the loudest the stadium got all day.
Yeah, you hate to say it, but that definitely, I mean, who knows? Maybe we get that penalty and then we freaking fumble a snap over Lamar's head and it doesn't matter. So
should have never been in that situation.
Never should have been in this situation, but the refs did not help us out at all. That's for sure. I think overall we just need to get healthy. We need to get Ronnie Stanley back. We need to get Justice Hill back. We need to get Linderbaum back. OBJ. I mean, that's half our starting lineup right there. So we need to get healthy offensively, defensively. But let's go ahead and talk about defense a little bit. I think the story of the day was Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle, the man Hamilton, dude.
Career day, 9 total sacks or total tackles, 3 sacks with a forced fumble, 2 TFLs, and a pass breakup. He did everything short of scoring a touchdown.
Everything short of an interception. Like, the dude was everywhere. I mean, it was so crazy to see him. You know, that first drive the Colts have, he came off that third down, came off the edge with just like a rocket on him. Just boom, blew Minshew up.
Yep.
And dude, to do it again and again, like to do this, it was the same. We gave them the same play on third down. We gave them the same play, and he knocked it off every single time. It was unbelievable to watch him.
And the best part was after he did that, they talked about it on the broadcast a little bit. Now Mike McDonald started using him as a decoy, and the whole offensive line was so afraid of him blitzing, and then he would act like he was blitzing, and then he would drop back into coverage, and they were all messed up with their pass pro still. So he just was ridiculously
lethal weapon.
He played like a top 10 draft pick for sure.
I'm just go back to draft night when me and Michael were all at my place watching it, and we're just like, Kyle Hamilton, what the hell are we doing with drafting Kyle Hamilton? And now, I mean, dude, yesterday played
Trust Acosta.
I mean, he played so well, dude. And it's a shame he did something or around the end of the mid-fourth quarter. He was in a lot of pain. He was the trainers were working on him on the side. It was either a lower back or in his hips. But he was in a lot of pain. Like, he was walking gingerly. And I remember I was texting you, and I was like, I don't know if Kyle Hamilton's going to be able to continue to play. Because, I mean, he looked like he was in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
And the trainers were all over him, and he kept shaking his head. The trainers kept shaking their heads. And I'm seeing all this, and I'm just thinking, like, but then every time, dude, when the defense called, he slapped that helmet on and went back out there. So he's a beast. He's tough, dude. He's a tough dude.
And then I'd say besides Hamilton, Clowney, he had a day. He was so disruptive. And I know Hamilton talked about it in his post-game presser, but all those sacks that he had, it was because Clowney was taking those guys that were supposed to be blocking Hamilton on the blitz, and he was just taking them out of the way and just doing the selfless thing. And
every time I saw Kyle go, it was on the same side as Clowney.
Mm-hmm.
And Clowney has played, I tell you, for a dude that I was kind of like, what's Clowney going to do at this point in his career for us? But I'll tell you what, through 3 weeks, he has been a very welcome surprise. And I think he's played very, very well. He had 1 tackle for loss yesterday that went right through his hands that he should have had. And you think 9 times out of 10, he probably brings that dude down. But outside of that, his pressures was great. He was a big part of that safety.
Yep.
He was a big part of that safety.
So we had 5 sacks as a team. If you take 3 from Hamilton, Clowney had 1, I think, and then somebody else had 1 also.
Roquan?
It was either Roquan or Patrick Queen.
There was a play, or there was a
Roquan got credited for a half a sack. Clowney got credited for a half a sack. And then maybe we only had 4. Maybe we only had 4 sacks.
Okay. Because there was a play where it looked like Brandon Stevens got in the backfield, and then PQ and row was right there. So, but anyhow, defense. I mean, what can you?
I mean, you can say we let up a few big runs, but besides that, we played pretty well. We didn't allow a lot of points.
Everything.
Touchdown wise, they had 4 field goals.
Yep.
So they only scored what? Wait, did they have 5 field goals?
See the
They had 5 field goals and 1 touchdown.
Yep.
They only had the touchdown on the pass to Zach Moss.
That was a beautiful.
That was it.
Man.
So
that was a beautiful play.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good play design. You get one-on-one with the linebacker. Usually you're going to win that battle.
That was a beautiful play. I can't hate on that.
Perfect pass. Good catch.
Yeah, you're
one
right.
Touchdown the entire game. I'll take that.
I will too. I mean, you got to think if you hold a team to, let's talk regulation, right? If you hold a team to a touchdown and 4 field goals with our offense, you should win the game.
Yeah.
You should win the game. So the defense showed up today.
The only thing they didn't do really was get us a turnover, which we definitely should have had when Moon tried to pick the ball up and slips out of his hands because he tried to run with it. If he would have just fell on the ball, that's our ball right there. But it is what it is. I thought Brandon Stevens played well when he was targeted. There's one play where at the end, Michael Pittman made an amazing catch between Stevens and Geno Stone, both hitting him at the same time. He just made a crazy catch. But we were definitely missing on the edge, I feel like, besides having another edge defender on the other side of Clowney with Owe or Ajabo. We didn't have either. So that definitely hurt us.
When's Bowser going to be back?
The good thing is our secondary, as banged up as we are, without our Darius Washington being there, we got Daryl Worley in there, played 90% of the game, and he did pretty well. So I was happy with that. Corners played well. And then Tavian Robinson got in a decent amount. He was playing, I guess, subbing in at edge rusher for those guys that were hurt too. But he didn't do anything that I saw that really went good or bad.
Yeah, I think he's just doing, for a rookie coming to football kind of late in life, he's doing about as good as he probably can. It's really sucked to see Ajabo not play. He was a guy that I was looking to, wanting to watch live. And for him to have some kind of an ankle thing before the game happened, I didn't see anything. It must have been pretty early because I got to the game probably an hour or 2 hours before, and I didn't see it happen. So who knows when that happened, but it was definitely disappointing to not have him. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of goes back to the injury wagon, man. I mean, it's just.
We just actually, while we are recording, they just announced Tylan Wallace has been moved to the IR. He's not a starter, but he is a starter on special teams. But
I saw him yesterday. He dressed.
Yeah, he played. So he got hurt in the game at some point. He played 11 snaps on special teams. I don't know, but we did re-sign Josh Johnson back to the 53. Man, that was kind of just a handshake deal. He knew that since we had injuries, we needed to move some things around roster-wise. And basically, there were no other injury updates. He said it's too early, and I think he wants to keep it close to the vest. He did say Gus Edwards is still under evaluation in the early parts of his concussion.
Gus smacked.
He got smacked. You could hear that one.
Smacked.
Yeah.
And I knew as soon as, of course, you can't, from where I was, you couldn't see the hit real well, but I saw the replay, and I thought, whoa. And then when I saw him walk to the tent, I was like, he's done. He was walking wobbly. Yeah,
one thing I noticed, someone that got a lot of snaps through the first 2 weeks that didn't yesterday was Ricard. He only played 25% of offensive snaps. So I would have expected of any game he would have been in this one because we needed him for that. So I'm kind of shocked to see that because I felt like he did a pretty decent job when he was in the first 2 weeks of sealing, and they had some good run plays with him coming up and blocking linebackers and DNs out and stuff. So that was a little bit of a surprise. Maybe we'll go back. We'll see him. They'll go back to how he was in weeks 1 and 2. But
I tell you, and we've had many discussions about Patrick Ricard. I still don't understand how you have someone with his at least ball skills. He can catch the ball, so he can run the ball and carry the ball. how we don't use a 300-pound dude or damn near close to 300-pound dude. How we don't use him on 3rd and 1.
How do we not do the same thing as everyone else in the NFL and do a quarterback sneak when it's 3rd and 1? I don't understand. We're willing to run Lamar every other time. Why not run it the quarterback sneak?
It befuddles me. But when you have a 300, I grew up watching Mike Allstott. I mean, Patrick Harden may not be as athletic as Mike Allstott, but he's definitely as big as Mike Allstott. And to not give him the ball on these 3rd and 1s whenever Melvin Gordon's not getting any penetration, not getting the penetration you need. Gus is out. Why not hand it to him?
Yeah. Anyways, going off on the tangent there. Let's just wrap it up here. I think overall we can't overreact. We got to break everything down, learn from our mistakes, get healthy. Number 1, before anything else, everyone needs to be in the training room. I don't care if you are healthy or if you are not healthy. You need to be in there doing something. And I think hopefully this is a wake-up call because we got a big divisional game this week against the Browns in Cleveland. So we need to hopefully we got knocked off our horse. Everyone loving us. Now let's get back up and let's go undefeated in the division.
I agree. You have to, man. You can't let the Browns, who's had really good defensive performances the past 3 weeks, albeit maybe not against great offenses, but they have definitely shown up. We can't play the way we played yesterday and expect the Browns will murder. Honestly, the Browns would murder us. And that ain't something we're used to. You know what I'm saying? So can't overreact. Harbaugh's not going to get fired. Everyone that's yelling for Harbaugh to get fired. Todd Monken's not Greg Roman part 2, like everyone was saying. It's one bad game. You come to earth. It's a long season. You can't, no one's lost the Super Bowl week 3 and no one's won the Super Bowl in week 3. So you got to keep rolling.
That's perfectly said. And I just want to again thank Palmer for filling in for Michael. He did a great job. Please go ahead and hit us with a like and subscribe here on YouTube. And then if you're listening to on Spotify, go ahead and follow us on there. Anything else, Palmer?
I appreciate it, man. I love the opportunity to come here and talk Ravens with you. It's not like we don't do that already 24/7, but to get it out on the pod, that feels awesome. Can't wait for Michael's awesome analysis and thoughts for the week, the game ahead against Cleveland. I'm sure that'll be colorful, but keep it up, man. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm behind you guys 100%. So
awesome. Thanks, man. All right. Well, we will see you all with the preview for the Cleveland Browns episode coming up later on in the week.
Adios.
See ya.